You didn't mean to lose 3 hours. You picked up the phone to check one thing, one notification, one scroll, one video that was only 40 seconds long, and then you looked up and the light outside had changed. The day had moved without you, and somewhere underneath the numbness, there was a feeling you couldn't quite name, not satisfaction, not rest, something closer to being eaten alive. In the rainforests of Borneo and the swamps of North Carolina, there is a plant that has solved the problem of hunger in one of the most sophisticated ways in the natural world, the carnivorous plant, the Venus flytrap, the pitcher plant, the sundew. These plants don't chase their prey. They don't need to. They have developed something far more powerful than speed. They offer something irresistible. The pitcher plant produces a nectar that smells sweet, looks beautiful, and lines the rim of a deep, waxy tube. An insect lands. It drinks. It wants more. It leans a little further, and then, without drama, without violence, without a single sudden movement, it slides in. The plant doesn't trap the insect. The insect traps itself, because the nectar was real. The pleasure was genuine. The only thing the insect didn't know was what the pleasure was designed to do, and what Silicon Valley engineers figured out about the human brain 3 decades ago is something that should change the way you look at your phone forever. In 1954, 2 neuroscientists named James Olds and Peter Milner made an accidental discovery that would eventually become the foundation of a trillion-dollar industry. They were running electrical experiments on rats, and they found that when a specific region of the brain was stimulated, a cluster of neurons now called the nucleus accumbens, the rats would do almost anything to get that stimulation again. They would press a lever thousands of times per hour. They would cross electrified floors. They would choose stimulation over food, over water, over sleep. They had discovered the brain's dopamine reward circuit. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That is the most common misunderstanding in popular science. Dopamine is the wanting chemical. It is released not when you get the reward, but when you anticipate it. It is the feeling of almost, of maybe, of one more scroll and something good might appear. And every major social media platform on Earth has been engineered with extraordinary precision to keep that feeling alive without ever fully satisfying it. The pitcher plant's nectar and the infinite scroll are the same mechanism. One evolved over millions of years. The other was designed in a decade. Both work perfectly. His name was Alejandro. He was 26 years old, and he had a problem he couldn't name for a long time. He wasn't addicted to anything obvious. No substances, no gambling, no clear vice. He was addicted to his phone, not in the way people joke about it, in the way that when he sat down to work on the project he said mattered most to him, he lasted 11 minutes before reaching for the screen. He tracked it once, out of curiosity. In a single day, he unlocked his phone 94 times. He spent 4 hours and 17 minutes on social media. He produced 23 minutes of meaningful work, and the worst part wasn't the time. The worst part was how he felt at the end of the day. Not rested, not entertained, not connected, empty in a way that more scrolling didn't fix, but somehow seemed to require. What Alejandro didn't understand yet was that his brain had been quietly, systematically recalibrated. Neuroscientist Anna Lembke, professor at Stanford University and author of Dopamine Nation, describes what happens to the brain's reward system under constant low-grade stimulation. The brain, she explains, always seeks equilibrium. When dopamine floods the system repeatedly through cheap, easy triggers, likes, notifications, short videos, the next post, the brain compensates by reducing its baseline sensitivity to dopamine. It literally downgrades its own capacity for pleasure. So the things that used to feel meaningful, a conversation, a book, a walk, a piece of work you're proud of, begin to feel flat, not because they changed, because the brain's ability to feel them has been quietly eroded. The pitcher plant doesn't kill its prey with poison. It simply creates an environment where the insect can no longer find its way out. The term dopamine detox became popular around 2019, and like most things that go viral, it was partly right and mostly misunderstood. You cannot detox from dopamine. Dopamine is not a toxin. It is a neurotransmitter your brain produces and requires. What you can do, what the research actually supports, is something more precise. You can change the sources. Dr. Cameron Sepa, the clinical psychologist who originally coined the term, was not suggesting you stop feeling pleasure. He was suggesting you stop letting the cheapest, most engineered triggers be the primary source of it. There is a difference between dopamine from finishing something hard and dopamine from a notification. Both feel like reward, but one builds the brain's capacity for satisfaction. The other slowly dismantles it. The sundew plant covers itself in droplets that look exactly like morning dew. Insects have evolved over millions of years to associate those droplets with water and safety. They land, and the droplets are adhesive. The appearance of nourishment is not the same as nourishment, and the feeling of connection you get from scrolling is not the same as connection. Your brain, in the moment, cannot tell the difference. That is not a weakness. That is the sophistication of the trap. Here is what the research says actually works, not as a detox, not as a punishment, as a recalibration. The first thing is friction. Every carnivorous plant works by reducing friction for the prey, smooth surfaces, irresistible triggers, no obstacles between the insect and the thing it wants. The inverse is your defense. Put friction between yourself and the cheap dopamine sources. Delete the apps from your home screen. Put your phone in another room when you work. Require yourself to sit with boredom for 90 seconds before reaching for stimulation. 90 seconds. Research from neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor shows that the physiological response of an emotion, including the craving response, lasts approximately 90 seconds if you don't feed it. After 90 seconds, the body resets. The urge doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip. The second thing is replacement, not removal. Alejandro didn't quit his phone cold. He started filling the first 30 minutes of his morning with something that required his full attention and produced a slower, deeper reward. He chose to write. You might choose to build, draw, run, cook, read, anything that makes a demand of you. Within 3 weeks, he reported something he hadn't felt in years: the ability to be bored without panic, the ability to sit with a problem long enough to actually solve it, the ability to feel satisfied by things that don't glow. If what we talk about here, the connection between nature, neuroscience, and the way we actually live, is something you want more of, subscribe to this channel. New videos come regularly, and each one is built to give you something that lasts longer than a scroll. The carnivorous plant is not evil. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and so is your phone. The difference is that you have something the insect doesn't. You can see the mechanism. You can name the trap. You can choose, with some effort and some discomfort, to land somewhere else. The most important question is not how much time you're spending on your phone. It is what that time is replacing. What conversation didn't happen? What idea didn't get the attention it needed? What version of you didn't show up because the pitcher plant got there first? You are not weak for falling in. The plant spent millions of years perfecting the design, but you can climb out, and the view from outside the trap is something the insect will never get to see.